In New South Wales to 8 p.m. last night, we had 152,000 tests done across the state, which we're very grateful for. Keep up those testing rates. We had 452 cases of community transmission, and we know that at least 50 of those would be infectious in the community, with a number of cases still under investigation. Tragically, overnight we had the death of a female in her late 70s at Westmead Hospital who was unvaccinated, and we extend our deepest condolences to her loved ones and know what a difficult time they're going through. In relation to the suburbs of concern, obviously in Greater Sydney, southwestern and western Sydney remain the generators of most of the cases, and in particular we want to call out the following 7 suburbs, and we ask everybody in those suburbs to be especially careful, not to leave home unless you have to, and please come forward for vaccination. Blacktown, Seven Hills, Marylands, Guildford, Auburn, Bankstown and Greenacre. In regional New South Wales, Western New South Wales remains of enormous concern around West Dubbo, Walgett and also in Bourke. And of course there are extra supports being sent to Western New South Wales to make sure we get on top of the cases there. Obviously, we're very keen to make sure we hit the 70% double dose and 80% double dose targets. Now, at this stage, those targets will be met at the end of October for 70% double dose and mid-November for 80% double dose. And I want to make this very, very important point, that life will be much freer than what it is today once we get to 70% and 80%. It doesn't mean we'll be completely free. It doesn't mean that we will let the virus be rampant in the community no matter our number of cases, but it will be freer than what it is today. And I really want to stress that point. We also gave an undertaking that in September and October, which will be our most difficult months, there's no doubt that September and October, until we get to that 70% double dose, the challenge for us as a team, as a government in New South Wales will be, how can we keep our citizens safe and as free as possible during those difficult months? And once we get to 6 million jabs, we will be able to consider opportunities for what we might be able to do in September and October that we can't currently do. And I want to make that very clear. Does it mean we'll be living completely freely? No. But does it mean we'll be freer than what we're living today? Absolutely. And that's why I say to everybody, please feel encouraged to get vaccinated. Please feel encouraged to make sure you respect the health orders and the lockdown. And we envisage that case numbers in the next 2 or 3 weeks will bounce around and are likely to go up substantially. And we have to brace ourselves for that. But our key aim will be keeping people out of hospital and keeping people alive. And that's why the vaccination rate obviously helps us with that. Of course, we need to see case numbers come down, and once Susan Pearce gives you the update of how many people we're jabbing in those areas of concern in the next 2 or 3 weeks, that means that 2 or 3 weeks after people have been vaccinated, they will be protected, more protected in getting the virus, but also less likely to transmit to a high number of people. So please know that whilst we look forward to living life much more freely, where we're at with the case numbers in 70% or 80% will determine how free we are. But please know there will be extra freedoms than what we have today. And that is an absolute assurance. And once we get to 6 million jabs, we'll be calling upon Dr. Chant, who's already started to make considerations of what we can allow people to do who are vaccinated, and that's why I ask people to make sure they get vaccinated. There'll be opportunities for us to consider what things we'll be able to offer the community in September and October, which will be our most challenging months. And I just thank the community for the way in which you've responded to date. The vast majority of people are doing the right thing, and that's definitely the reaction and the feedback we're having from police on the ground. But as we know, even in other states, it only takes a handful of people on a couple of occasions to do the wrong thing, and we have setbacks. And our job through the extra police efforts is to reduce those setbacks, to make sure that we're not held back because a handful of people in a handful of situations are doing the wrong thing.